Hi there, music educators. My name is Elizabeth Donaldson, and I'm an elementary music teacher in Overland Park, Kansas. I wanted to share a lesson today with you that we worked on in a breakout room of one of our Zoom sessions in support of the CMA Foundation's Unified Voices for Music Education. This lesson originally came from another music educator who had used this idea of roller coasters as a movement activity. She found a video on YouTube, which if you search roller coaster classical music, it pops up pretty easily. And it was a virtual roller coaster, essentially, where you were in the car and you would go up and down and loop and all the way through the roller coaster. And it was set to classical music, so there would be a specific song that it mirrored. So when the music got faster or when the notes got higher or lower, the roller coaster would mimic that. And she used it as a movement activity. We thought about how you could demonstrate that as a teacher. You could have students copy what you're doing, or you could have other students lead, which would be very easy to do in both in the classroom and online. So if you had Zoom, you could share your screen and be able to do it that way. And we just really liked how adaptable this lesson was. And then we took it a little bit a step further and explored the idea of a vocal exploration concept with this, and the idea of having students being able to improvise and be able to sing if that's a possibility in your school. So what I wanted to demonstrate today was just a quick little example of how you could use vocal exploration with this roller coaster idea. So I have a whiteboard. You could use a piece of paper, you could use a smartboard, you could use an iPad. There are so many different possibilities with this. You could share a screen that had the picture already presented. But essentially, I want to draw a roller coaster or have a fancy little picture of a roller coaster, which you could do online. I'm going to draw some people with their hands in the air. And then I'm going to draw some sort of roller coaster movement to it. So I'm going to make sure I go really high, I go really low, I maybe have a couple loops, and that's my roller coaster track. With this track, you could lead. I would always recommend being able to demonstrate it first so the students understand. Or you could have students lead. You could have students point. You could have students draw their own roller coaster and get to explore their own voice and see what that sounds like. But for example, if I were to do this, I would follow along on whatever neutral syllable you'd like. If your school is not allowing singing, you could always hum it as well. But it would go like this. And that would be my roller coaster. When it comes to national standards, this lesson specifically applies to both create and perform. With creating, sometimes it's difficult for students to know how to vocally improvise something. And so the idea of having them first write out the roller coaster and then get to sing it, to watch peers do it, and to watch you as the teacher do it, I think it really lends itself well to this lesson. Specifically, the standard that we're looking at is with guidance, students will generate musical ideas. In performance, that's going to be kind of difficult this year when if we're not all together in a group, or if we're not able to do exactly the things that we want to do when it comes to performing. But the one that we had looked at was, with guidance, explore and demonstrate awareness of musical contrasts. So specifically with kindergarten and first grade, looking at high lows, looking at loud softs, fast slows, I think this lesson can really apply to that idea. You can do a lot of different things with comparing and contrasting, and I just think that it meets these standards really well. When assessing these standards, I think that there are many ways to do it depending on your specific circumstance. So obviously if you're in person, you can assess individually. You could go around and take the time to listen to every student's roller coaster. You could have them come up to the board and demonstrate their roller coaster. You could have them work in groups and assess the groups and their ability to create and perform their roller coaster. I also think that if you are doing a Zoom lesson, you can still do this. You can have each student be able to demonstrate or take turns demonstrating their roller coaster. I think my favorite way, though, is if you do it in a way that students can video themselves. And there are so many different options for them then. So they could draw their roller coaster on a piece of paper, they could do it on a whiteboard, or they could draw it with chalk, or they could follow some other movement that they find in their home space and be able to create and perform their roller coaster for you in that way.